All right, man. Welcome to the first rendition of whatever this is going to be called because I don't quite have a name yet. Basically, what we're going to be doing here is just talking to all the any MMA creator, and I've seen your growth from the beginning of what was 2024, right?
Yeah, like December 20, like right at the end of 2024. Yeah.
Right at then, so within a year, you've gone from 0 to almost 50K followers, and from what we've seen, it's just a talking head. We wanted to get to know the real MMA DBM. So we're going to start off with one of the simplest questions. What made you a fan of the UFC?
You said I'm the first one?
Yeah, you're the first person we're doing this with.
That's
First
sick. No,
one.
I gotta own up to it. I gotta
Yeah, you
own up
got
to this. All right, yeah. So with MMA in general, the first fight I ever watched was Ronda and Holly Holm. It was like I'm not like too old of a fan. And then
mm-hmm.
I watched that like with my cousins, everybody in the world watching Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. Holly Holm puts her out. And then I think the next fight I had watched was Amanda Nunes and Ronda when Ronda came back. And then I think I consistently watch. I am a Conor Khabib fan. Like that's like when I started coming in. The
So like
first fight I watched,
2016,
yeah,
2017, right? Yeah.
yeah. The first non-fight was it 17 or 18? One of those two. I think it
Yeah.
was one of Um, and then obviously I watched like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. I never watched Conor Eddie. I never watched Conor Aldo. I watched those back.
Mm-hmm.
So the Conor Khabib card because of how big it was, and I was coming off of the Conor Mayweather card. We did Tony Ferguson and Pettis was the co-main, and that was like the first fight that I watched that wasn't Ronda or Conor, and then I was like in love with the sport from there. From that point on, I was watching like almost every single card as much as I could, and
Yeah.
then like 2019 going into 2020, like I haven't missed a card, and it's been like I've been obsessed with it. I started the TikTok in like December
Mm-hmm.
2024, but I was doing multiple. I was doing a Knicks one, a Jets one. I'm a big Knicks fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big Jets fan, and then I did a WWE one as well because I was a WWE fan, and did a UFC one,
Yeah.
and I was posting 2 times a day on each of those, and then and then I was able to go live on the UFC one and the Knicks one, and the UFC one was doing a little bit better, and so I stuck with it a little bit more, and then once that hit 1,000, because of the live streams before the other ones, I was like, I'm hard sticking this.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand. And dude, I remember watching that Ronda home fight. I started watching in 2013. The first fight I remember like that stuck in my head was GSP Hendricks when GSP should have lost, but he didn't. We've seen I honestly that's probably still one of the worst robberies in history, but we digress. But like yeah, I started then and that's where it got me.
Yeah.
And I ever since then, like I wasn't a diehard fan right away. Like I remember watching like the Ultimate Fighter with Jones versus Sonnen, and then just throughout there, but it didn't really stick with me until maybe like 2015, 2014. So like the year and a half after, that is when it was competing with me with the NFL.
Yeah.
It was, I'm a Giants fan. They're terrible. So I had to find something to
at least you're fun. At least you're fun. I got nothing to root for the Jets other than Garrett Wilson. That's all I have right now.
That's all you got. It's fine. It's a rebuilding year.
Not really. It's always a rebuilding year. But anyways.
But yeah, I remember that's what got me there. And then since then, it was just a roller coaster, right? Because I say this all the time, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I don't think you're a true UFC fan or MMA fan until you have watched your favorite fighter lose. And the amount of times I have watched all of my favorite fighters lost, I believe that I should be at the top echelon of fans or anybody really.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
Broken my heart so many times. Some by his own hand, some by the judges is what it is. That's what kills me. But like I'm with you on that. Like if you have watched enough to where you've only seen your fighter win, if it's Khabib or stuff like that, it's an anomaly. But like
yeah.
You will end up seeing heartbreak at one moment or another. This guy's gonna break my heart eventually when he gets older, or if he just retires early. But like,
he just needs to.
Oliveira's done it. Jan's done it. Like, it's gonna end up happening.
Exactly. Every one of those guys back there, except for Sarukian, because I'm a fan, but I'm not like the biggest fan in Islam. Everyone back there behind you has made me very upset.
Part of it, man. But then when they get it back, we're like, I've never screamed for a fight as loud, even like the Jan Marab fight. I've never screamed for a fight as loud as I did. Like I was freaking out. I'm not much of a yeller. But when this guy knocked out Dariush, when
Oh,
Oliveira knocked out Dariush, I was losing my mind because Dariush was on a run. Like
yeah.
Dariush was the guy at the time, and he was supposed to be fighting for the title. And then he was gonna fight. I think was it him or RDA that were gonna fight Makhachev. I think they were both booked against him. I can't remember which one.
I think it
But
was RDA.
it was RDA, and then there was a bunch
Yeah.
of talk about him and Makhachev fighting eventually. But Oliveira ends up beating Dariush. That was one of the sickest moments ever.
Yeah, that was peak for me. That was one of the
Yeah.
things that like I actually just made a like little slideshow video about it. I've been an Oliveira fan for a very long time,
Mhm.
but that was peak. That watching him go through everything, he was a quitter, this, that, and a third, and then just go on this insane run, sleep Dariush, and then go on to fight for the belt and win it was arguably right there for Connor's run with me. Because
Yeah.
Connor's run was just like the hype of the UFC.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Oliveira got you like Oliveira's like that one artist, like that artist that gets you emotionally involved, and then he just shows you he has different levels of him.
It's a niche that ends up becoming like a mainstream. That's exactly
Yeah.
what Oliveira was. Like, you have for me, I was a really big fan of Kevin Lee, and then
Hmm.
I watched his fight against Kevin Lee, and I fell in love with Charles at that point. And
Yeah.
The Rock he held was like for whatever reason like weirdly alluring, and then he never walks out with it ever again after
Yeah.
that. But like, it was. That was like what got me into it was the Apex fight. He gets him in a guillotine. It was sick. So yeah,
Hmm.
I
I
got a
wa-
big fan of him after that.
yeah, I watched Kevin Lee go against Edson Barboza in I think 2018
Mhm.
over in Atlantic City. He
That's sick.
got he got kicked in the face and his legs went jello and then came back and still won the fight. The fall off of Kevin Lee needs to be studied. That's
The chicken dance Lee is
yeah.
that's a rough one.
Yeah. So moving forward, content for me, I've always been interested in content. Like even since a kid, I remember posting like silly gaming videos or prank videos of my friends, but I never took that leap of making the content with the fear of being judged, the fear of people making fun of me for it, especially because my previous line of work is very masculine and people like we had one dude make a video and everyone just started clowning on him. Meanwhile, I'm like, damn, like that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
When you started making content, what was your biggest worries? Were you worried that people weren't going to support you, your family, your friends, or were you worried that you were going to get leaked to the group chat and you were going to get clowned by the homies, like things like that?
Honestly, those are the things that would prevent you to do it, like when I was in high school and stuff like that, and even in college. But like at the time, like I was like at a point where like to get a little deep on it, like I hated myself more than anybody could hate me.
Hmm.
So that's what I had in my head. There's nothing that could have been presented to me that I didn't already say to myself at the time.
Yeah.
So I had no worry in it. Like I just wanted to put stuff out there because I wanted to interact with people who really, really like the stuff that I also really, really like that are in the niches. My brother was a guy, not was, he's still alive, Jesus. My brother, was the guy who ended up telling me like make it niches instead of doing like like a whole page of anything of just like you doing a bunch of stuff because it's harder to centralize a group of people into a page where if you do Knicks, Jets, WWE, and UFC all in the same thing, it's like who's going to be wanting to watch that all in one thing? It's going to be hard to
Yeah.
grow a platform, right? So I did them all individually. At that point, like I had no worries about anything like being DM'd to me, comments, etc., negative, all that stuff. It didn't matter because I already had that inside myself. Like,
Hmm.
I hated myself. So that was like the relief end of it. I didn't have to deal with that, but it was also like the blockade before for not starting content was what you were suggesting. Like, okay, I don't want to be made fun of. I don't want it to be put up on stuff. That's how
Hmm.
it goes. That's how it goes with almost anybody, right? Trying to start this stuff. So yeah, I ended up enjoying it, and I just kept putting stuff out there. And when
Hmm.
you see like anybody when I get so I started off in first videos were like 200 to 800 views and stuff like that, and anytime you eclipse a certain number in your head you're like, oh, okay, this is sick. So my benchmark was 500 on a video, and then it's 800, and then I hit 1,000, and then once I started getting like a consistent 1,000 views on each TikTok, I was like, okay, this is sick. I got to make sure I deliver it this way and stuff. Like I'm very particular with those details and like my delivery and approaching and stuff like that. So yeah, not really many worries now starting it. Like I honestly, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to getting into something. That's what ends up halting me from doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Is I want it to be perfect and set up before I approach it.
Got it. So what we're going on with you saying that you hated yourself. We're both bigger individuals.
Right. Yeah.
I have the same thing that you were going through, right?
Yeah.
you're fat, you don't train, you don't do this, you don't do that. Sure, right? And I agree with you that like early on for me it was the same thing. It was like, damn, like these people are gonna like really get after me and like hound on me. But then again, like I have heard that my entire life,
Mhm.
right? And I handled it a different way when I was in school. Should have been a
Of
fighter. No,
course.
anyways. But
Yeah.
uh, but as you get older, you kind of just realize like these are people just behind a keyboard that no
Yep.
matter what they say, that they don't know where you're from, what you're doing, right? And I think it took me a little bit longer to not a little bit longer. It took me just maybe a couple months into content creation to realize that like when I started showing my face, because a while I was just doing sports betting content,
Yeah.
but when I started showing my face and going on live, it took me a minute to realize like, yeah, these people are just yapping. Like they get in here, they just talk and they don't really mean what they say. And if they do, they have their own problems to figure out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And with moving on with that subject, what are some of the funniest comments you've gotten from people? Like or
Oh my God.
comparisons? Because I've gotten Luca before the trade. I've gotten Mr. Feast. I've
Oh
gotten
my God.
most recently I've gotten someone commented, I didn't know Los Pollos did UFC. Some
Oh,
of them are
I've gotten the
so
same
funny.
thing. That's the thing. I've gotten the same Los Pollos thing. Uh,
Yeah.
this one's not funny. Dave Allen is the one I get compared to a lot. I didn't know who Dave Allen was before. I looked at he's like a boxer. Uh, the Tai Tuivasa is like the number one. It was like heavyweight Armand.
Heavyweight Armand's
Ankalaev let
crazy.
go. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But there are like death threats that I get in completely different languages, and I'll put them into like Google Translate. It is the most creative stuff. I can't reiterate it because I can't remember it. It was just
Yeah.
put, I was like, I'm so interested to see what this guy's saying because
Mhm.
I know he's cussing me out.
Yeah.
Whatever it's about, and I know he's cussing me out, and it's hilarious. So I think the first one I got in a completely different language, like a paragraph of just like cussing out my bloodline,
Oh
is
my god.
was I think I went like 11-1 on the card. The main event I got wrong, and they were like letting me have it, letting me have it. It was bro. I love them. I love them. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like be cringy, be like, oh, I love the haters. So like, no, it's like it's just funny. Like people are taking time to put stuff out there. I love creative insults.
Yeah.
I love creative. It's so funny, bro. Instagram Reels. I scroll through TikTok a little bit. My Instagram Reels is the funniest stuff in the world.
Dude, it's the Wild West on Instagram. It's the
It's
Wild West over there.
hilarious. I never used to touch it. My boys made a chat and they started sending a bunch of stuff, and I was pissing myself. And so like I started going,
Yeah.
bro, nah, I can't. That's why when someone sends a creative insults, it's the funniest thing in the world. There's nothing personal. I don't know these people personally.
No.
They don't know me personally. I can't take it personally.
Exactly.
If it's someone that I know personally, like my boys, we all cuss each other out at the same time, anyways, right? So it's like
Mhm.
it's never going to be
Nah.
affecting.
There's nothing you can say to me that I haven't heard before. Like, you know what I
It's
mean?
just
But
fun.
like,
It's
but
just fun and games at the end of the day, right? Yeah.
yeah, and like you said with the creative insults, those are my favorite. I agree with you because
It's
it's
so
like
funny.
I tell people in my live all the time, like they'll start clowning me, and I'm like, if you're gonna try to like if you're gonna say something, at least make it funny, because then at
Yeah.
least I can laugh with you. But like you guys sometimes like they'll just be like because like I train jujitsu not often but occasionally, and they'll be like, you don't even train. I'm like, man, like I just trained tonight. Like what are we talking
Yeah.
about? Like you know what
That's
I mean? I
how,
don't
bro. That's
post
how
about
they are,
stuff.
man. But like, I know, like some of them, they actually try to go with lazy rage bait on purpose to
Yeah.
rage bait. It's a bro. There are a million different ways to rage bait. There are a million different ways to do it, and there are like some professionals at this stuff. There's some
Yeah.
professionals at it.
Yeah, and most of the people are not professionals, but I laugh
No,
at it. I entertain it with obviously facing like I would say adversity, right? Like people like talking about you not liking your content. Has there ever been a moment where like you were making content and you were just like, this is not going to work? Like I know you mentioned you had a couple pages. Obviously, you can
Mhm.
digress into those, but like specific with this MMA stuff because it is very niche and like once you get into it, you realize there is a little bit of a hierarchy and it's kind of hard to break through to an extent. So, is there
Mhm.
ever been a moment where it's like, yeah, I can't do this?
You know what I really like to? I wouldn't say not. No, I can't do this. There's more like I have a way in which I want to go about my content, and I have everything laid out. I have like a 2-year layout written down of like what I want to do with content, what certain things I want to put out, and what certain like series I want to have out there that I think are going to be consistently approachable and engaging. With my live streams, for example, like I'd love to do interactive live streams in terms of like just talking with chat and stuff like that. And every now and then I'll bring on people to talk and we'll have some conversations. But I don't know if I think I've seen you in a couple of my lives. Like I'll do cahoots, I'll do like tier lists and stuff like that. Um, I like the interactive ones more, so I've tried to stick to those a little bit more. Honestly, just whatever people enjoy more, and then you end up getting it more in the algorithm, and you can see people are enjoying it a little bit better.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say, like, kind of, I wouldn't say failed necessarily, but I think I have to approach it in a at a time that makes more sense. Is, do you know, like, you watch football and basketball? You know, like Colin Coward, Nick Wright, like Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. You know
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
analysts.
yeah. So they have like their own shows where it's like a little talk show, right? I love that stuff. If anything, I watch on YouTube and stuff like that. I don't watch much MMA content. I watch the UFC, of course. If I'm watching UFC or MMA content, I'm rewatching fights. Like a lot of, I
Mhm.
just have like the Paramount Plus stuff now, which is great. But I used to, like, just watch it on whatever I could find. And then I would try to do my YouTube very similar to like The Herd, which is Colin Cowherd's show.
Yeah.
Remember Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Jones,
Yep.
like that. So I want to do that, but like me as an individual doing that stuff, that's something where I don't think is as marketable early on if you don't have a platform to begin with. But I
Yeah.
think later on I can end up doing something similar to that where I have it organized that way. I have an editor that works with it that way. You know what I mean? So that's something where I was doing it a little bit on YouTube, and I just thought like it's not as engaging. Would I click on this right now? No, I wouldn't. So that's the one thing I always tell myself with content. Would I watch this? Would I stay after 2 to 3 seconds on a TikTok? Would I stay after 5 seconds on a YouTube? Is this thumbnail good enough for me to click on? Am I interested enough as an MMA fan to want to click on it? And if I'm
Mhm.
not an MMA fan, but I'm someone who kind of likes the UFC or I've seen it here and there, do I want to click on this and do I want to keep watching this? Does this guy sound like I want to sit there and listen to him? If I talk in my normal voice like this the whole time, like, it's going to be very monotone. It's going to be
Yeah.
boring. It's going to be stale, right? So I'm trying to put on a little bit more of a performative, like out loud voice. But it's also like screwing up my voice right now. So it's just you condition yourself to learning what you would like and learning to expect what other people would watch. Instead of expecting people to watch anything you put out, you need to understand like what would you enjoy and why would people enjoy that, and what would you not enjoy and why wouldn't other people enjoy it, right? You have to be able
Yeah.
to kind of approach these things while also, making sure you still enjoy it and not fixate on too much, because then you'll get a little bit sick of it. And if you don't get the results you want in certain videos, like I'm putting out promo videos for every single card, right?
Yeah. I've seen that. They're good. I like
Appreciate
those.
you. I'm like the director of it. Like I write the script. I know the song I want. I know the exact seconds of the song I want played. Every single week, whatever it is. I put out the script already for I call him my producer. He's an editor who puts it together for the Vallejos and Emmett card.
Yeah.
That one's already set. So those don't get that many views on YouTube or on TikTok relative to a lot of my other videos. But I like doing them so much, and I'll still pay him to do them because I really, really enjoy those, even if they don't get enough views. And I believe those are really good. The more I grow, the more those end up doing well.
Exactly. And you gotta have your own passion in it. You can't just because I found that like if I talk too much about news or I talk too much about the biggest scandal or whatever this is, I start to feel burnt out because that guy gets the views, it brings the engagement in, I get to speak my opinion on it. But I like to make those videos where like I feel passionate about. Like I just made one about how like Chris Mutino is the Spike Dudley of the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, did that get a lot of views? No. But did I really enjoy making that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you
no,
have
bro.
to keep...
The fun videos are sick. Like just talking about anything. Like I saw Chimaev like frothing at the mouth, looking at the TV, and when the Armand fight was happening, I was like, bro, I'm making a video about this. This is hilarious.
And I think that's what people really don't understand either, is that you have to like, even if you don't make the video right there that second, you have to just either, I don't even mentally lock it down. I'll pull my phone out and I'll type it in my notes real quick. And then I'll reference where I saw the video or the photo so I can go back and find it. I think it's extremely important, especially early on as a content creator, that you get in the habit of, of practicing, like, and it's just doing your rounds. Make bad videos. Your videos aren't gonna, if you, this is what I'll say. If you pop off at like one video and you get 1 million views, you're not going to be able to replicate that every single time. And I think that's the issue with a lot of young content creators, like myself, yourself, a lot of these guys who are relatively new to the mixed martial arts content creation is, it's they pop off, they get going, and then they dip down. And then it's like, okay, now I don't know how to really like talk to the camera. I'm so awkward. So I think it's extremely important for those bad videos to get put out. So you learn how to create, how to make a good hook, how to keep people engaged. And I genuinely think you and Marauder MMA are probably like the two best people at it. Like I love Marauder. He's one of my mutuals. I can't stop watching his videos.
You know how I found out about Marauder?
How?
Again, no disrespect to anybody. I genuinely just don't watch MMA content. Like I
Yeah.
knew about, so the MMA content creators I knew about were Jet Chaos, Lucas Tracy, like back in the 2020s, like early 2020s when he was making
Yeah.
TikTok. I used to see him on my page. And MMA Guru. Those are the three I knew. I knew Chaos because I think he followed me. There's a guy named Matthew MMA that was following me as well. And then I forgot. And then Chaos had a couple people in my live stream at the time telling me like debate Chaos, debate Chaos, debate Chaos, and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'll debate Chaos. Who's Chaos?
Mhm.
And then I ended up learning about Chaos, and I was like, bro, I really like Jet Chaos. Honestly, I think he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Marauder, I found out about because I think he commented on like I put like a Kahoot video out there, like, oh, I'm doing UFC Kahoots throughout this entire break. And I think he said, wonder where you got the idea from. And I didn't know that was from him because apparently he did them before. I didn't know it was from him. And I think I responded to him saying, like, oh, a guy named Ewan in my live stream told me about it, like told me to do Kahoots. And then I forgot who else. There's a guy named Josh or John, one of the two, that also like reminded me about it. And then I think I saw you and someone else and a couple other people in my live stream saying, like, Marauder did it first, give him his credit, give him his credit. I was like, I didn't know, but if he did, like, credit to Marauder, like, it's a sick idea. Like, it's doing really well. Like, I love it. So yeah, like, I learned about Marauder there, and then I saw a couple people talking about him, like rage bait content, stuff like that. And I see like the approach he goes with. I think it's pretty funny. And then they have that podcast now, Across the Pond. Right?
Yeah, Across the Pond. See, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched the full episode, but their clips are
their clips are funny. Their clips are
their
funny. Yeah.
clips are great. Yeah. That's a great mashup. Like you have, it's funny because like I'm in a group chat with Marauder and Zombie Man Jay, and I just make fun of the British. I'm just like, yo, like you guys got to dominate the Redcoats. Like there's no way. Like if you guys ever lose a debate, like I don't know if I could be friends with like
this guy, man.
But like going back into like creating content, if you could tell yourself one thing when you first started creating about the mistakes you're going to make and how to go about it correctly, what would you tell yourself, or a brand new content creator about like how not to get discouraged and how to make like proper content?
Yeah, for me, you have to stick to it. You don't like to put yourself in a box to be like, I'm the I'm the Kahoot guy or I'm the news guy or whatever it is, right? But it's good to have that niche to start off. Any niche you have, it's quicker growth.
Yeah.
On top of it, like I have TikTok shows you like a video you made a year before, whatever it is, right? I just started getting them because it's just been over a year since I started. And like the energy I'd come out with in a lot of those videos, it's lackluster. Like even though I was doing decently well considering like what I expected at the time.
Yeah.
I still think like I look back at the videos, I need my energy in there. I prefer videos with a lot of energy. I think especially on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and those like shorter version videos, you need videos with a lot of energy. So that's where people end up getting more appealed and they stick to it early on. I think the first couple seconds are very important. Literally the immediate couple seconds are important. The covers on TikTok, like your thumbnails on TikTok are not as important as they are on like a long form YouTube video. Honestly, YouTube Shorts as well. I think they're even more important than they are on TikTok. Because on YouTube Shorts, you can scroll on your homepage and you'll see like the thumbnail for YouTube Shorts sometimes. Whereas like for TikTok, like the only time it'll matter is if you go to somebody's TikTok page, and it can help if somebody clicks on your page and it looks like pretty nicely put together, like people thumbnails all together. It's nice. Yeah, I just think like more energetic early and then keep it consistent. I think once people get used to you doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, it's gonna start sticking a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I
hate it or love it. Whether they hate it.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that it's important to like find that niche that you can replicate every single time over and over and over again. So you build that following, whether it's just filters, like there's, I forget what's his one creator. I forgot his name, but he does like filter videos where he'll like play the games and then occasionally he'll put out some news. And then you got people like boozing MMA. He's one of my mutuals where he does like the talking head videos like us, but his biggest videos are there's 25 pieces of MMA news that you may have missed. Like those people love that because people miss it, but it's important to grow. And obviously on TikTok, most of the goal is to get to that 10K mark, to that creator program mark.
Oh yeah, that was my whole thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, when you made your first dollar, first check off of TikTok, what, if you don't mind, what was the amount, and then what was like your realization of like this becoming a thing where you can profit from?
I can say the first one. The first month, dude, I was in a summer class of microbiology as I got like the number finally showing up.
Yeah.
Um, it was like, what was it? I can check right now for you. I'm not even joking here. One
No
second.
worries, take your time.
I think it was like the first month was 2,600, and so I
And
was like
how many months was that into, like how many months did it take for you to get that 10K?
June of 2025 is when I got it.
Okay.
So
So you
I
were, I was
can't
fairly
remember, but I think it was July 15. They pay you every 15th of the month.
yeah.
So July 15, I got it. And June, so you know what you made by June 30, like not June 30, by July 1st. Like the first of the month, you know what you made the one before. Like they'll end up updating it later in the day of the first. You'll see what you made in the month prior, and then they pay you on the 15th of every month for the month prior to that.
Mhm.
So my June payment comes July 15. My August payment comes July or comes no, my July payment comes August 15. Yeah, it was like $2,600 the first time. And that
Yeah.
was like, I was like, yeah, no,
More of
I'm
this, more
hard
of
struggling.
this.
And that's TikTok. I've heard TikTok's payments aren't as great as YouTube. YouTube, I'm like on my way there. I really only started consistently, like actually consistently posting on YouTube. I'd say like late December, early January. That's when I was consistently posting almost every single day. So yeah, I've been shoving shorts in there. I've been shoving YouTube videos in there right now.
Yeah.
I have like a team working right now. Like again, the guy that edits the promo videos, and then I have another guy who edits my YouTube videos. Because I think it's better to put a team together, because like if I'm sitting there editing videos as much as I want to and put together some decent content alongside like TikTok and stuff, it would take a lot more time out of me. I wouldn't be able to study, and then I also wouldn't be able to like put out as much content, go live as often as I do.
Yeah. No, I agree. And especially if you're making the money off of TikTok
Yeah.
and you know, have those extra funds to come in, absolutely. You know, I don't edit all my own stuff all the time, but most of the stuff I do my own editing because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I really like things done a certain way. So I haven't fully given up. Like more of my long form stuff I've given to one of my mutuals to edit. But even then, I'm like, it's consistent messages like, hey, dude, we need to tweak this. You know what I mean? It's like almost
Yeah.
better if I learn how to do it, which I am. Um, but no, I agree with you. I think as you grow and the more, I would say more of responsibility you have, because as you grow a following, you do have a responsibility not only to like put out quality content all the time, but also if especially if you're in the news aspect, or you know, you have the people like Big Marcel, you have the big people like Crazy Kev or like the Cage Cultures, like you have to make sure that you're putting out reputable information, right?
Kev, man, Kev, like that. The thing with Crazy Kev is I like respect him a lot because he like, well, I'll get into that real quick. I respect him a lot in terms of how hard he tried. Like he really, and that's not a negative thing. A try hard is a good thing. Try hard is
Yeah.
not a bad thing. That people put that as a negative thing. The people who put a try hard as a negative thing are the people who don't feel like trying and failing.
Mhm.
He tries really hard, and he gets out a lot of information from these fighters and the teams and stuff like that, and it's good. And he's getting himself a little bit of reputation, like a little bit of a good reputation at times. And then he just jumps the gun a lot of the time. And then it doesn't help when he'll start disrespecting fighters out loud. Like Manel Kopp, he spelled his name Cape. Manel Kopp corrected him. And since then, he's been under like a couple different Manel Kopp posts, purposefully putting his name Cape.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to be a reputable reporter, and you could very well be one of the guys who gets stuff out much earlier than the rest, because the UFC doesn't announce their stuff early on. It just doesn't happen.
No.
So it comes down to reporters. Big Marcel's a little bit like closer now towards like when the UFC posts it. He's very like reserved when it comes to his approach of announcing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you'll have like Colminero, the guy who's the Spanish guy. There's Colminero, there's there's another guy in like the European space that does it as well. They put out like a bunch of stuff with Ilya Taporia in the European space. There are some very, very reputable reporters that put stuff out there. And Kevin could be one of them. There's just something he just refuses to give up, and there's like this ego with it. That there's good ego and there's bad ego. I think this is the bad ego of it. I think he could be fantastic. I love looking at his stuff. He just jumps the gun too much.
I think so. I've had a few conversations with Crazy Kev in like DMs. I used one of his images of when I interviewed Gianni Vasquez. That I haven't uploaded that one yet, but I uploaded a clip from it when I was asking him about the whole Javid getting cut and everything like that,
Yeah.
and then he said this thing where he was like, "Well, he took my percentage, but I took his contract, so I call it even." And I used Crazy Kev's thing, and we DM'd, and he was like, "Yo, thank you so much." Like he like credited me on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter, but he added my Instagram.
Yeah.
I think that it's the same thing that happens with like UFC like TikTok content creators. We see something like for example, like the Hamza Chimaev Yuri fight. I saw that and I ran with it because
Same.
I have been on this whole train that Hamza just doesn't want to fight Imavov for whatever reason.
Hmm.
But that's my narrative. So I
Hmm.
ran with that narrative. And then you have it happens to us where obviously came out as like that's not true, and then it happens to everybody. But I think the issue is I didn't know about the whole Manel Cop thing where he was consistently spelling his name wrong. I
Yeah.
think that I think that if you're going to try to get into that reporting and that sports journalism space, that you have to like, oh yeah, I fucked up. Like it's okay to like make fun of it like once or twice and like just make a joke out of it, but like if it, like I said, I haven't seen them, but if that's consistently what he's doing, then it's like
He tried to
you're
run
not
with
going
it.
to
Like
get the information you want. These big fighters aren't going to tell you anything.
he's on the brink of wanting to be either like a reporter journalist or a personality. Like you could be both. You could be Ariel Helwani. Ariel
Yeah.
Helwani's both.
Yeah.
But there's a way to go about it without disrespecting fighters and stuff, like repeated over and over again. The Chimaev and Yuri thing. So Kevin was the guy who announced Josh Van and Tatsu Taira. He got accredited for it.
Yeah.
By Marcel, by every reporter that put the news out there. He was
well, I'm going to stop you real quick.
Yeah.
I can tell you this for 100% of a fact, and I just can't tell you who told me that Manel Cop 110% signed a contract to fight Josh Fan.
Yes, for March.
Yes, for March. 110%. I as soon as I made that video, as soon as I was told, and then it's what I was told was because this guy is very linked up with a bunch of UFC fighters, that the UFC will approach multiple people for the fight, have a bunch of people sign the contract, and then they are like, okay, which one do we really want?
For this Saturday. That was supposed to be for this Saturday.
Yes, it's supposed to be for this Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they'll figure out which one they really want. Why they went with Tatsu Taira, I know, because they want to get into that market, but why they offered it for so soon and then you know what I mean? That's where I got. But I can tell you for a fact, Manel Cop was offered. I know
what I think was happening? I think what happened was they had a certain approach they wanted for UFC 327, and they wanted to see if they were going to make Chimaev and Yuri Prochazka. Then the Sean Strickland thing happened when UFC Houston, and I think they're starting to approach middleweight a little bit differently with it. I'm certain they had Chimaev and Yuri done. I think what happened with Kev is he had the information about Cop and Joshua Van that ended up falling through because they were going to make that in March. They had the risk of Cop obviously not making weight. They needed a co-main event with Ortega and Moicano no longer fighting on the card. And I think the UFC was kind of scrambling to try to make something up for that Moicano and Ortega fight. But then Strickland happened, right? Whether it was Fluffy or Strickland. I think if Fluffy won, I think it was Fluffy Imavov. They weren't even going to think twice about it. And Chimaev up weight. But then I think with the Strickland win and him calling out Chimaev and they might actually give Strickland a shot over Imavov.
Oh yeah, they're gonna jump Imavov.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
And then I forgot there was something I like write these things down because I will forget the thoughts and I forgot it already. But I think Kevin released like a tweet of his DMs with whoever it is, right? To kind of justify the reason he put that out there, the Chimaev and Yuri fight. They told him like this is the fight that's gonna happen in April. But once the Strickland thing happened, they ended up shifting away from it.
Yeah.
They told Chimaev he was going to do it. Chimaev was tweeting out 205 that he wants to go up to light heavyweight. A bunch of things were quite literally lining up exactly in plan with it. But then all of a sudden, this whole shift happens, and now they're going to do Yuri Alberg. Pereira's still going to go up and weight no matter what. We knew that was going to happen. And then with Van and Taira, like you said, they wanted to get into that market. If they felt like they were going to get Chimaev and Yuri Prochazka on the April 11 card, they were going to be fine with not having a big co-main on that one.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Have Alberg as the partner with Yuri Prochazka now. You're going to want a bigger event there. You do still want to do the Japan thing. Yes, Van wants to be active. Yes, he wants to fight Cobb. Yes, that beef is there. But you also risk a little bit more with the weight cuts with Manel Cobb, even though he's already getting down in weight. He said you risk that for this week. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to be fighting.
Yeah.
So it was a much bigger risk for them. Did they need a co-main for this card? Maybe. Is Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira right as of right now the biggest fight in 2026? No question. And unless you make Ilya Arman, Ilya Makhachev, I'm trying to think of like Pereira Jones, I guess, would beat it.
Yeah, I mean,
Aspinall
numbers wise would beat it, but
yeah, like very few fights would beat Max and Charles.
yeah.
Chimaev and Yuri would have beaten it. So I think they were just deciding on what they were going to do with the co-main event, which is why they had to be determined, which is why on ESPN they had light heavyweight title fight.
Yeah, yep.
Has to be determined, right? So that's what I think happened with it. I think there were things set in stone. I think the teams let out a couple reports and then nothing was solidified. Kevin ran with it and, you know,
it happens to the best of us. And I just think the best thing to do is just own it. You know what I mean? Especially, I mean, I have been wrong, right? I've been wrong about plenty of things. Like I've come out and been like, oh yeah, whatever, dude, it happens. Like, you know what I mean? I go off the information I'm given. I'm trying to get it out accurately and quickly for you guys. And then if it's wrong, I admit it. But I think the whole thing of like going after like Minnow Cop and just trying to clown him around, it's just, you know, it's weird. And you're also not going to get the information you're looking for, because then you're going to DM somebody, you're going to DM him, DM somebody from his team, and they're going to be like, no, like, why would I tell you anything now?
Unless that's what you're going to go with. If that's what you're going to roll with and you're going to be just straight up unfiltered, I'm going to go after any fighter I want. If that's the case, fine. That's not even funny. You're just misspelling his name repeatedly and disrespecting him out white. If you're going to disrespect him, and I'm not in favor of that. I think it's weird, to be honest, to have that approach, but weird is good sometimes, I guess. I don't know. If that's your approach to it, make it decent. Make it fun.
Make it, and going back to the beginning of the conversation.
Exactly.
Make it funny. Like,
exactly.
Make it funny.
No one's laughing at Kev saying CAPE instead of KAP, right?
Yeah, Cape. Yeah. No. It was maybe a chuckle when I first saw it on a video, but after there were tweet
like whatever,
yeah. But I agree with you. And then, where were we at? Let's see. Okay, so we went into that, Chris. So what do you? I know you're in college, right? Did you just graduate, or I remember
I'm in pharmacy school right now.
Pharmacy school. So obviously, pharmacist, all that stuff. Do you plan on trying to make this a career? Whether it's whether it's just on social media, do you want to branch out to being more of a professional, like sports journalist, or do you think this is just one of those things you'll just do forever on the side and be a pharmacist for the main portion of it?
The goal is very similar to Ariel Helwani. I love Ariel Helwani's show. I love the approach to everything. I love how he pesters with every single question, but he does it in a tone a lot of the times where he's kind of making it welcoming. Yeah, I really like the way Ariel approaches it. I fell in love. So, like I said, I don't watch as much MMA content as I do watch straight up old UFC stuff.
Yes.
I'll go back in time watching old UFC fights. I'll rewatch a bunch of fights all the time. That's what I was doing like at the gym. When I go to the gym, I don't listen to music as much unless I'm doing cardio. Ironically enough, when I lift, I watch fights, or I listen to fights. When I'm doing cardio, I'll listen to music. But like Ariel Helwani, his interviews back then, the way he would promote back then, he was a promoter in and of himself alongside Dana White for the UFC. I love that kind of stuff. I love being immersed in the sport and loving it so much and being able to talk all these fighters and get inside of their heads and kind of pick their brains on the fight game. I like getting into the people who are like obsessed with the fight game and picking their brains as well, kind of similar like you're doing right now. Like I love this kind of stuff. So this is what I want to do. I want to be able to make content. I want to put out good promotional content for the cards because I want to be able to talk to people about it. Another reason I started making content is because I love these things so much. And of course, you and the boys, they all love sports, right? All the boys love sports. How many of them love it so much to intricately talk about it 24/7 with you? Not really.
Nobody.
When I put out content about this stuff, there are people coming to my content on YouTube, on TikTok, on live streams, solely to watch and discuss MMA, UFC content. That's what I love. So that's the whole basis of it. I want to do that for a living. Absolutely, I want to do it for a living. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
I'm doing, pharmacy is a very secure thing. It's just another one of those things. You get some sort of security in your life just in case.
Exactly.
Always. I think it's always a good thing to have a backup. It's supposed to be like my main, but like I have aspirations to have this thing be
exactly. Listen,
I think in a year, if I'm growing the way I am, I'm very confident in being able to grow within the next couple of years. By the time I finish pharmacy school, to have a very established platform enough on both TikTok and YouTube for me to be very confident in this moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's extremely important to have that backup plan, even though it's the main plan, the backup plan of if anything does happen, right? Because internet could shut down tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Right,
and everyone who's didn't have a backup plan is now scrambling. With going on to talk about like those sports journalists and MMA TikTok and stuff. Do you think that us as creators mess with the storyline that the UFC wants to present? So, for example, right, the best way I could put it is like when Bo Nickel was put on the main card, and everybody and their mom was like, "There should be no reason this happened."
UFC 300, right?
Yes, and then
Yeah.
randomly was put. No, it was the Makachev JDM fight.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
too. Yep.
and then everyone, and then randomly he gets bumped down.
Yeah.
Do you think that us as fans and us as creators, as much as we don't think that UFC really cares about us,
Yeah.
they see these things and then they change the narrative in the story. You know what I mean?
I think sometimes they don't have a choice. Like for UFC 300, there was a very similar uproar. I think wasn't Bo Nickel, Cody Brundage the opener for UFC 300's main card?
Yes, main card. Yes.
Yeah. You had Yuri Prohaska and Alexander Rakic on the prelims.
Yeah,
I think
crazy.
Davis and Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt opening up the card. Like there are way bigger fights for that. I get the perspective with trying to push Bo Nickel. He wasn't Sean O'Malley at the time. That's not what you're supposed to be doing, right? So you want to push a big American prospect, you push him, whatever it is. He already lost to RDR. He's coming back again against Rodolfo Vieira. I thought it was a very favorable matchup for him. But putting him on the main card over, I forgot who it was that he was on the main card over, and it was ridiculous. By the way, it was insane.
It was a crazy one. I just don't. Let me see.
Was it like Brady?
I think it was. I think it was Brady. I think
Brady,
it was Brady.
No, Brady Morales was on the main. It was Prates and Leon Edwards was on the main card, and then who was the opener for that?
Let me see. I'm checking right now.
Benoit Saint-Denis and Beneil Dariush.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So the main card, the opener was Benoit Saint-Denis and Beneil Dariush, and the one right before that was Bo Nickel and fucking Rodolfo Vieira.
And then they had RoboCop and Kopilov on the card as well.
Yes.
They moved Benoit Saint-Denis and Dariush down to the prelims. And
crazy.
They moved and that was like everybody lost their minds on it, and everybody's making content about it, and there was just a big uproar. And Nickel's coming off a loss to RDR. We get RDR was on his run, whatever it is. We ended up seeing what happened with Brendan Allen. Fine. Like, there's no justification to have this guy in the main card over Benoit and Dariush. It doesn't make any sense. There was no justification for it. So or was it Rufy BSD or Dariush? One of those two.
No, it's Beneil BSD.
Beneil, right?
Yeah.
He knocked him out like Okay, so
the first change.
it was like I think content creators now have a much bigger influence than they did before, but not necessarily one individually. I think it's 100% has to be a collection, because otherwise, I think like Arman Sarukian would have gotten a title shot plentifully before. If that was the case, Paddy Pimblett wouldn't be anywhere near where he was. Like, even when Paddy, I still had Paddy to beat Gaethje just because of stylistic matchup. Even though I still think even at the time, I didn't think he was a top 15 lightweight in the world.
No.
So, okay, you're getting him the quite literal best matchup you could possibly give him. There's an objective for this. The market believes he's like a 2-1 favorite. Fine. Like, yes, the market's wrong a lot of the times. Don't get me wrong. But still, like, it's important to kind of lay out the way the UFC has a perspective with certain things. But they hear us. They hear people making content. They don't have a choice. A lot of the times, the viewership they get on their stuff gets outranked by viewership that other people put out. And that's what ends up kind of driving certain narratives that they want to put out into the mud. And they start driving other narratives that they don't want out there that are the actual correct, more approachable, like consensus narratives that they
exactly.
Like, now all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Arman Sarukian has forced their hand now. Arman
is now he went on
a giant fight.
Yeah, he went on a generational press run.
Yeah,
there is
now everybody loves him.
Yeah,
and what are you going to do about it? If you're you can't do a thing now.
Great PR marketing. Whoever his PR people are, great. Pay them more.
He just attacked the guy. He just attacked Giorgio Poyos, and like, don't get me wrong, 100% deserved. But he can't do wrong, Arman, right now.
No, he can't.
And the worst part about the justification for the UFC is like, look what Conor McGregor's done. Look what John Jones has done. If John Jones did what he did before he was champion, would the UFC treat him the same way they're treating Arman? No. Not even remotely close. They'd still give him the same treatment, like still the same preference, because he was undefeated and he was going. It's a load of garbage. It's a load of garbage with the UFC approaching it. They know what they're trying to do to avoid Arman. It doesn't make sense for me with Arman, by the way. He's not boring. There's not a lick of Arman's game that's boring either.
Here's my biggest take on that whole Arman and him not getting Ilya or anything like this.
Yeah.
I don't think Ilya loses to Arman. I think Ilya gets his toughest fight in Arman. And I think that the UFC is actively protecting their asset. They understand that. I think the UFC has a plan to make the Ilya Makhachev fight eventually. But they're very smart individuals. They have a multi-billion-dollar company. They understand that if they put Arman Sarukian in there right now with Ilya, and he has an extremely tough time with Arman Sarukian, his stock goes down. And then, Charles, Islam's going to go on Twitter, go on wherever, and just say, I beat Arman.
Yeah.
How are you going to have a hard time against Arman, someone I already beat, and expect to beat me? They are protecting their asset, and that's exactly why Arman is getting the short end of the stick. It's just right in front of us.
I think there's an easy like rebuttal for the Makhachev thing because like he had his quote unquote toughest fight against Arman on 2 weeks' notice in his debut at like 22 years old, right? So people can kind of push that narrative a little bit, but at the same time, I agree with you in the sense where it's like the UFC does this thing where if they have a plan and they have a perspective outlook for it, they have a couple steps they want to get to before they get to the ultimate plan. They try to approach it in the most marketable, cheapest approach possible.
Yeah.
Paddy Pimblett was the guy to do it, right? You are in a win-win scenario with Paddy Pimblett. He is a scouse. He is loud. He is on a 7-fight win streak that you handed to him. Like, and now if he becomes interim champion, beating Justin Gaethje, the biggest possible name with the lowest of risk for him at the top.
Yeah.
You know, if he beats him, now you have him against Topuria. If an anvil falls on Topuria's head and he ends up losing to Paddy Pimblett, you have Paddy Pimblett becoming champion. And that's all of a sudden, like, okay, this is a giant freaking moment.
Yeah.
Paddy Pimblett took Topuria's we'll live without having the Ilya Topuria, what's it called? Makhachev fight. We'll live with it. Although I think it's straight stupidity at that point, but nonetheless. Or Topuria is going to batter Paddy is the most likely outcome. You get to have Topuria built even more with another giant name. Paddy sucks, whatever. You got rid of him. And now you have Topuria with even more star power than he already did. And now he's fighting Makhachev.
Yeah.
Would you rather have him fight Arman and risk him losing and risk that possibility? If I'm a businessman and I'm trying to make Makhachev and Topuria, and I'm not making them immediately because I'm a complete moronic company and I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to UFC. Oh my God, the White House card is going to kill me.
It's going to be a disaster.
For this announcement. Like, no, I'm not going to do Topuria and Arman before doing Makhachev and Topuria. But no. Makhachev is turning 35 soon.
Yeah. He's getting up there. He's got like 3 fights left. He said it. He doesn't want to fight much.
When are we doing this? Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I agree with you. I don't think the Arman fight will happen if they want Topuria Makhachev imminently. But I don't think they have a choice. Like they've quite literally exhausted every possible screw you option to Arman Sarukian and added a couple like legs to it on top of it.
Exactly.
And, I mean, Dana White quite literally said out loud in public at a press conference, the winner of Dan Hooker versus Arman Sarukian is going to be fighting for the UFC lightweight championship next.
Yeah, and it didn't happen. And
then he made the interim title for Paddy and Gaethje because they didn't want to start Paramount Plus off with a women's main event.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And then the women's fight fell apart. So now they have an interim title with Paddy and Gaethje, and now their hands are tied.
Yeah,
so Gaethje has to fight Topuria, and now we're in this hell.
Yeah, it's an odd situation. And going back to the whole Paddy thing, that goes back into rushing the prospects, which the UFC is notorious for. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the one I'm most notable, and I always point out, is the Darren Till situation. Oh, man. Great win over Stephen Wonderboy, pushed right into Tyron Woodley after like 3 fights, right? Then you have the Paddy. Then you have, you know, right now, Josh Hockett getting rushed to the Wolves because they need a star, rather than building them organically like a Quillen Salkid, who Quillen Salkid, I'll tell you this, we're going a little bit of a tangent. I think right now, Quillen Salkid is the closest thing that, you know, everyone likes to compare to the Conor McGregor, is the closest thing that we have to a Conor McGregor style person.
Really?
Listen, hear me. He's not the most shit talker on the mic. He's not going to get there and call you names and, you know, I do what the fuck I want, whatever. But it's his personality. Right?
Oh, not fighting style. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
No, not fighting style. Well, I mean, I've had this argument with a lot of people. To build a superstar in UFC mixed martial arts, not only do they have to have a good personality, they have to have finishing ability, and then they have to be able to back up the shit that they talk.
Yeah.
That is why, and I will stand on this, Ilya, Makhachev, Sarukian will never be a star. O'Malley never be a star, right? They can fight, they can back up their words, but a lot of them don't have a personality. Sean O'Malley's
They don't
terrible on
show
the
it
mic.
well.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley terrible on the mic. Ilya Taporia, he tries, he does his best. Arman Tsarukyan just headbutts people. Makhachev says, let's check his grappling. Quillen Salkin, he can articulate himself. My favorite interview with him was when he was like, I don't have a game plan. I just go out there and fight the cunt. Like, what are we talking about? Like that will be like his personality, the way that he's finishing his people, he's showing his diversity in the fight game. He is the closest thing that the UFC has right now. And again, I hate comparing fighters to fighters, but to that Conor McGregor star without being like the toxic MMA, like, fuck you, I'm gonna destroy you. You know what I mean?
They gotta show stuff like that. Like I don't have a game, but I'm just gonna fight the guy. Yeah, like they gotta put that stuff on promo packages and stuff, because that's gonna build a guy. And I think Salkild needs needs a press conference. Like a big, I think they should put him on the Perth card.
They have to. I mean, he took no damage. If you don't put him on the Perth card, you're fumbling.
It'd be massive. He fought Malarkey. He was gonna fight Rongju. Like,
put him on the co-main.
Are they gonna put him as a top 15? Because I think they're gonna do Ursak and Elliott on that card as well.
Yeah.
Because Tim Elliott said he has a fight. Ursak's been there for a bit. Ursak was doing some like promo stuff. He did I think he was in the Australia card where Volkanovski was fighting Lopez, and he was doing like he did a disguise and he was walking around and stuff like that. So once you see certain fighters after a bit of a hiatus doing some like more promotional stuff, I think they're starting to get into a little bit of the fight feel. I think Ursak has the Elliott fight soon. Ursak, Tim Elliott, and then I think Quillen Salkild has to fight.
You give him whoever you want to give him to continue building him. You put him on the Perth card. You get the pop from the crowd, and that is how you sell him into the top 15, top 10, and you just let him keep going. And again, that's how you properly build a prospect.
Yeah, you don't see Patty is different because they had him fight 7 fights. He was on a 7-fight win streak. Against who?
Exactly. His most notable win was Gordon, and that was arguably a loss.
Yeah, Chandler. I don't know. I thought Chandler was going to beat him, but Chandler had his back. Chandler had Patty Pimblett's back.
Also, submitting Bobby Green, I don't think that ever happens again. I think if they fight again, I think Patty Pimblett gets.
Bobby beats him every single time.
Yeah, every single time. Yeah, that was a great fight. Now that we're talking about more of fights right now, let me hear your top 5 of all time, your personal one, your personal top 5, and then we'll get into who you believe should be the top 5, right? Because there is a difference.
You like all time UFC, not MMA, right?
Yeah, UFC. Okay. You won't. MMA is a little broad.
Yeah, people call me a new gen fan, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get the approach with it, but I can quite literally detail it exactly why certain guys are better than the others. Pereira at 5, Topuria at 4, Volk at 3, Jones at 2, Makhachev at 1. Yes. I can detail it like to the absolute T as to why I have him as such.
There's a reason I brought this up, and I'm happy you changed it. You had Merab 3 of all time.
No.
Whoa,
not me.
Don't.
I've had Merab at 7.
No.
For the majority.
I will go find the video.
Find it, please find it.
It's gonna take me a minute of scrolling, but I'm gonna. This will be a clip.
It might be. I was saying Merab is the 3rd longest win streak of all time. At 14 fights. If I ever had Merab, maybe if he beat Jan, maybe I had him somewhere like that.
You mentioned it was because I made a response to it. You mentioned that if you do not have Merab 3rd all time in your list, what are you talking about? Or like, what are you doing? Dude, you
gotta find the video because I mean I will own up to anything I say. I don't think I've ever said that. If I ever said something similar, it would have to be like if he beats what's it called, Jan, the 2nd time.
Maybe. Let me see. Let me see. Bar for bar. I remember that though because I made a video about it.
See myself saying that. I can't.
You had him over GSP, and I mentioned something.
Yes, I have him over GSP, but I have GSP at 8.
GSP at 8 is crazy. I think this is it. Hold on.
George St. Pierre and Demetrius Johnson and your UFC GOAT list, you have no clue what you're doing. What?
So I did misinterpret you. I did misinterpret you.
I know I never put Merab top 3. I have my list ran down in my notes. I have it on the tier list over and over again. Yeah. Like I know what I put out.
Yeah. I don't terribly disagree with your list, right? Mm-hmm. I think that Jones, if you're gonna count him in your top 5, you have to put an asterisk next to his name. Have to.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
the
pop.
PEDs
You
you're
don't
talking
pop
about, right?
3 times for roids and still
Yeah.
be the GOAT. I
My
have him at 1 just because of the accomplishments prior to that.
yeah.
Right. I will always keep GSP at 2 and DJ at 3.
Mhm.
And your biggest thing is the level of competition at that time.
A couple other things, of course, but
Yeah.
okay,
And
with
then
the PEDs thing, I agree with you. I take Silva and Jones out immediately. I
yeah.
always leave them in for the sake of argument because if I ever give somebody a list and they ask, where's this guy? Where's this guy? If I do a tier list on live, if I do a YouTube video, the entire comment section is going to be talking about where's Jones, where's Silva.
Yeah.
So I leave them in for the sake of argument. It is what it is. I don't agree that they're in greatness because once you cheat, sure, maybe more people are cheating and they didn't get caught. Well, I mean, you got caught. That right now we know that you did. Unlucky. But,
exactly.
yeah.
So I'll go through mine, right? Jones, DJ, Jones, GSP, DJ. Then this is where I get Volk, and then I have Islam and Prayer at 6. And then DC at 7. We'll go that far. We'll go DC at 7.
Yeah.
I think I don't have Islam at 1. I don't the double champ, that's cool. To me, the double champ right now is starting to lose its value.
It is.
Completely starting to lose its value. I'm a firm believer in that all of GSP, 2 of GSP's wins, right? You have the Matt Hughes loss and then the comeback and beat him. The BJ Penn, both wins where they dominated. And that, no, he might have lost one. I'm off track. But
I think, did he fight BJ Penn twice or once?
I think he fought him twice. I think he fought him twice. I'll check
GSP?
right now.
I mean, I'll double check, but yeah, go ahead.
So after beating those 2 guys, it wasn't like they just fell off the face of the earth. Matt Hughes went on to continue to beat the top guys. He was a certified gatekeeper. He gate kept for GSP for the longest time. BJ Penn went on to become a double champ, went on to become, to dominate the rest of the lightweight division. GSP left, took on the welterweight division. There isn't anybody. Who's your number 2? Jones. Okay, so if we swapped Jones and Makhachev, there isn't anybody in Makhachev's resume that has done that, right? Yeah, they have had some success after, right? Volkanovski has continued to have success after, but not at the same level as a BJ Penn. You can maybe equate that to a win over Matt Hughes, but you throw the BJ Penn in there, and we ignore the last part of his career because that doesn't count. That's CTE.
Yeah,
I don't see how you put a Makhachev or a Volkanovski over a GSP or a DJ who. DJ ran through the entire division to the point where they're like, we got to get him out of here. Like, we're going to take Ben Askren because we need some competition here.
Yeah.
So that's where my issue is with at least the top 3. The top, you go 4 to 10, very open for debate, extremely open for debate.
My thing with this stuff is I don't hold it against the fighter if they fought the worst level competition. I think that's a horrible way to go about it. Like, do I think GSP's level of competition is outright trash? No. Do I think Demetrius Johnson's level of competition is great? No, I think it's worse than GSP's. Silva's isn't great either, right? I hold how they win these fights at a certain caliber. I hold finishes way more over dominant decision wins. I think that's a showcasing of separation, a showcasing of being able to, even if you don't have the power, being able to find the timing of a shot or find the timing of a positioning. Like, it's just better overall, right? I also hold it higher for a fighter who does fight the better level competition and beats them in a certain manner. For example, I compare Merab and GSP. George St. Pierre has many more title wins and many more title defenses. The amount of fights he needed to get to the title is vastly different than the amount of fights Merab needed to get to the title. Merab has a longer win streak than George St. Pierre, yet he has way less title wins, way less title defenses. I would argue, even despite a couple of those guys being out of their primes, Cejudo, Aldo, them two specifically, I argue those are better wins than a majority of the fighters that George St. Pierre fought. Now, on top of it, you mentioned like BJ Penn and like the things he did at lightweight and stuff like that, right? And how like George St. Pierre beat him, and you go look at hindsight and what BJ Penn had done after that. It's like, that's an insane win for George St. Pierre. It is relative to the time. I'm not taking a tax on the time for the fighters because they're older, and I think the level of competition there is worse. But at the same time, the accomplishments BJ Penn had at the time aren't against the greatest level of competition. Can BJ Penn do that in a realm right now? I don't reckon he can. That's where I get to that point where I hold these wins highly for them because at the time, that is the best they could have possibly faced.
Exactly.
There's no question to the greatness of that realm. There's no question to it. But the game evolves and the greatness evolves. At some point or another, I have to look at who are the better fighters. Yes, the resumes may not be as illustrious and as deep-rooted as some of these other guys, but I think the longevity period of these other fighters back then were, one, because they got to the title a lot quicker, and two, because it was so much easier for other people to get to the title quicker that they kept fighting through much lower level competition throughout their prime. Now, you look at John Jones's. John Jones is a complete anomaly. John Jones's resume is ridiculous.
Yeah.
His level of competition is insane when you look at it, especially looking at the guys he fought and the champions he fought. And it's not just them being champions, but I think a lot of the guys that John Jones fought at the time in their primes could still compete today and like heavyweight. I hold that level of competition very highly in terms of when I'm like establishing who's greatest alongside the accolades and then the performances. Is there a more impressive GSP performance than Merab versus Jan in the first fight? I don't think his Matt Hughes wins are more impressive than the Jan win. I don't think the BJ Penn win is more impressive than Jan win because I think Jan is significantly a much better fighter overall than those guys are. Is he more accomplished in the sport? No, but he's also fighting the much tougher level competition. I always look at who is there, the level of competition, and when you perform at such a high level against that level of competition, that's why I love comparing Merab and GSP the most because they're both very big decision guys. 2 finishes in a 14-fight win streak for Merab, 4 in a 13-fight win streak for George St. Pierre. I have to highlight those two because those are two very similar fighters in terms of how they win their fight. Dominant decisions. Who is doing that against a better level competition? I give Merab the slight edge, even though he's not a 2-division champion, because of what he had done to who he'd done it to. I'm not going to knock GSP for fighting the worst comp. You can't, because what's he going to do? You're going to force GSP to go up to middleweight and fight Anderson Silva way off of his size range, right? No, that's messed up to try to get him into a different hierarchy. But am I going to accredit him more than a Merab? No, I'm not going to, because Merab has fought the much better level competition and performed better against that.
Yeah. So going back into, how Merab performed against Petr Yan in the first fight. Yeah. You are going to highlight, because that fight, to remember, to my knowledge, was a very grapple heavy fight, right? It was him shooting, I think, like 48 takedowns.
49. Yes. I remember every detail about that fight.
We're gonna say that performance was better than the Matt Hughes GSP second fight after GSP got dominated in the grappling game and then came back as a dominant grappler and out-grappled the grappler. See, that I think that's where we have this miscommunication here is that, Merab put on a great performance against Petr Yan in the first fight. It was a little bit close. They were both injured. Merab was allegedly injured. Petr Yan was actually injured. We saw the second fight went. We're gonna say this is where I hold a little bit of bias. We're gonna say that GSP didn't learn wasn't a wrestler. He was a karate guy, striker. Came back and then became one of the best grapplers in the UFC ever. And we're still gonna hold certain people like Merab above him because that they had a slightly better performance or had more finishes than them. I think that's where the obscurity of people's GOAT lists come into action because you have to take that into effect. That it's mixed martial arts. This isn't wrestling. This isn't boxing. That he became at the time the first complete mixed martial artist, and I think that's why he has to stay at number 2 until you get another person like that. Like you could argue Ilya is right. It could eventually get to that, right? If he continues to just march through these people, show his diversity, he could get up there. But with someone like Merab, where he relies so heavily on his grappling that it opens up his striking, it's not the same where GSP could stand on the feet with you all fight, but he chooses just to submit you, get you out of there quicker. Or, you're great on the feet, I'm going to take you down again. You see where I'm pushing that towards?
My approach with the GOAT list has nothing to do with skill set. I think best and greatest are two vastly different things. I know a couple people kind of want to include what certain fighters can do and their abilities and the diversity in their skill set, as you were saying, and how well-rounded they are and their ability to kind of adjust their game and to developing certain aspects of a fight game that might not be their current strong suit, like George St. Pierre going into becoming a fantastic wrestler and grappler and stuff like that, right? Like, I don't hold that into my GOAT list. Yes, those are individual accomplishments that ends up helping them win fights in a more dominant fashion in certain facets, right? Like also match up with certain fighters a little bit better, where George St. Pierre can now grapple with Matt Hughes and he starts putting him into a ridiculous grappling clinic, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I get it. Like, I think it's super impressive at that point, but I don't like accumulate that with the accolades and what they've accomplished in the fights themselves, right? Like what you did prior to that and what you showcase in there. Okay, it's very important that you showcased it. Skill set in general, I don't hold high. Otherwise, I'd have Demetrius Johnson and George St. Pierre a lot higher, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the best fighters to ever live, I'd have them a lot higher than 8 and 9.
Yeah.
In terms of UFC specifically, UFC greatness, that's why I have them a little bit lower because I'm solely focusing on level of competition, the performances against that level of competition. You can't hold it against somebody that they weren't able to fight better level competition, but
Yeah.
you also can't put them, in my opinion, over other guys because they, those guys fought better. And of course, the performances also include it as well. That's very important. The overall accolades and what they've accomplished, 2-division champion, how they accomplished it, stuff like that, who they beat, if they defended both belts or how many times they defended. You also have to understand like title defenses, title wins are very, very skewed statistics at the time as opposed to now. Very, very different statistics. So that, yeah, I take all that into effect. Like you have to include relativity with that stuff. And I agree with you. When you start talking about the best fighters in the world, very different than the greatest fighters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you are including that stuff in your greatest of all time list, I absolutely understand why like George St. Pierre and Mighty Mouse are going to be higher. Mighty Mouse in like an MMA GOAT list, top 3 minimum.
Yeah.
I could argue 1. Like what he's done in 1FC is
wild.
I hold so highly.
Mm-hmm. Those boys can bang out there. So
Yeah.
what we're getting, we'll talk, talk about the GOAT list. Let me hear your top 10. Your top 10 GOAT list right now.
You want me to go from 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Surprise me.
All right. Well, I give you the top 5, so I'll just go down.
Yeah.
So I did Makhachev at 1, Jones at 2, Volk at 3. I moved Volk at 3 after the defense. I had Topuria at 3 actually prior to that. Which I love the argument with Topuria. My favorite argument is Topuria and Khabib. That one I love arguing to hell.
I don't even have Khabib in my top 10.
Yeah, I mean, neither do I actually. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Topuria at 4, Pereira at 5, Silva at 6. I have Merab at 7, GSP 8, Mighty Mouse 9, DC 10.
Okay, so we're similar, kind of, right?
Close.
My top 5, John Jones, then you got GSP DJ, then I have Volk Islam, Alex Pereira, Silva, Aldo, Stipe, DC. Is that 10? I think that was 10.
Yeah, Stipe is like 12 for me. He's right there. So
yeah. I mean, you like I feel like as much as people argue about GOAT lists, I feel like they're all pretty relative and pretty similar.
They're very close, all of them. They are.
Yeah, it's that top 10, that top 3 that's always the biggest debate. And again, if I'm including John Jones, I have to include Silva, but they always have that asterisk next to their name. Yeah. Going into more of the modern stuff, I saw your video on Alex Pereira. I agree with you that and this is only if he fights John Jones for the vacant belt and wins the vacant belt against John Jones, he will then become the greatest of all time. But if he fights Gon or Tom, top 3. I think that's a top 3 because of the 3 belts. He moved up, but I can't put him at 1 for beating a Tom Aspinall or Cyril Gane. Or I feel like that's fair.
The Gane thing I can have a little bit of pullback on because if you fight Gane for an interim belt, to what extent are we accrediting this as like a champion? 1, it's interim, and 2, it's Gane.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a huge win. You've won fights in 3 different divisions, one of very few in the UFC, and at the top level of all 3 divisions. Like Connor's one of the people that did it, but he did it against Donald Cerrone, who was a 155er, and he was like a top 5 155er at the time that was on the decline.
Yeah.
Gane is the guy who just fought for the title against Tom Aspinall, which he didn't deserve the fight, but he looked decent in it. Like it's a great win for him. Stylistically, it's a very interesting matchup for a heavyweight style kickboxer to be fighting Pereira at distance. Pereira wins that, all power to him. It's insane. That one is one I'll have pullback on. Aspinall, for me, it's like my thing with the Aspinall thing is I think people have lost a lot of respect for him from that fight because he went from a 1.5 year long layoff of talking and just like calling Jones a duck and stuff like that, which 100% is correct. Jones is
100%
round. And then he looks human for the first time in his career against a guy who is the first ever rangy footwork kickboxer that Aspinall's ever fought on a 1.5 year long layoff where he's getting jabbed up a little bit. And the striking numbers were 30 to 27 in significant strikes. People were acting like Aspinall's getting battered because he has much lighter skin and you could see the blood popping through his nose. Like, I get the approach. Jones was getting tagged up by the Stipe Miocic with the movement of the Pikachu on my desk right now. There is not a single bit of a conversation, in my opinion, to where if Jones and Aspinall happened at that time, Aspinall puts him out. I don't even think it's a conversation.
Oh, I was a firm believer that Tom Aspinall beats John Jones. I think it was a close fight. I think it was a close fight, but he could have got it done.
The best thing Jones could have done is Tom Aspinall coming in on a 1-2, and he gets that takedown. Do I think Jones could have shot in and exploded and get? No, God, no. He could not explode to save his life at the time. He did it against Gane. Gane threw a very lazy 2, and then Jones ended up getting a single. Yeah, I see the Jones thing as like, okay, you take Jones's essentially. Like, you only got to beat him, even though it is an older Jones, whatever it is. Jones is like what? Same age, year older than Alex Pereira. How old is he really? I get arthritis, all this stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
It's important to note it, but you beat John Jones. You're at heavyweight. I don't even think it needs to be for the vacant belt. He was a champion and he relinquished it, right? Even if it's not for the belt. He beats John Jones. I think he's the greatest of all time.
Okay.
Alongside the things he's already done. Strickland, Adesanya, Blachowicz, Yuri Prohaska twice. That's aged tremendously. The Ankalaev ones. And then you can the supplements with Jamal Hill and Roundtree, whatever.
Yeah. I hear people trying to like downgrade Alex Pereira's like resume because he got slept by Israel Adesanya and then fled the division. I mean, sure, you can argue that he fled the division, but you cannot take away from what he's done. He's beaten everybody that has anybody in every division he's been in. Sean Strickland beat him, became champ. Beat arguably one of the greatest middleweights of all time, Israel Adesanya, and then lost to him. Went up to middleweight. Didn't even get an immediate title shot. Had to fight Jan Blachowicz. Beat Jan Blachowicz. Arguably a close fight, but whatever. Beat a Yuri. Beat a Khalil. Beat a Jamal Hill. And now he's like, okay, there's who's left here, right? Beat an Ankalaev. What am I going to fight? Johnny Walker? Like what? Like
Carlos Solberg? Like it's not an interesting fight.
No, it's not. We've seen it before. Carlos Solberg is just a less wild Yuri Prohaska. He's gonna, it'll be a closer fight. Sleep him. The fight to make is somebody at heavyweight for the belt or John Jones. I don't really want to see a John Jones fight. I'd rather him see the Gane or the Tom Aspinall fight. And just he is the guy. And people trying to downgrade him because him being that loss to Ankalaev or that loss to Israel Adesanya. For me, it's they're reaching for straws that aren't there. Yeah. I do think that Alex Pereira does become top 3 with a win at heavyweight. Arguably top 1 if he beats a Jones or a Tom Aspinall. I agree a little bit more with the Tom Aspinall.
The Gane one was a pushback. There's definitely a pushback.
Oh, yeah. And then, before we end this, I like to play a little game with everybody. We're going to test your UFC ball.
Oh, I love it.
Ready? I'm going to give you up to at least 10 hints to guess this UFC fighter.
Oh, okay. Run it.
Yeah, it's a UFC fighter, so it's good. All right. Let me know. So we'll do a little intro.
Yeah.
mmadbm. We're going to give you 10 hints.
I got to cut you off. DBM. It's not just you. It's such a stupid name. It's my
dyslexic brain, dude.
I have no justification behind the name. It means nothing. Yeah. I was gonna change it, and then it's already growing. So it's like, bro, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're stuck.
Run with
it. All right, so ready? Round 2.
Yeah.
mmadbm. We're gonna give you 10 hints. That's 5, but 10 hints to guess this UFC fighter. Are you ready?
Run it.
All right. He is a current UFC fighter. Okay. He fights in the bantamweight division.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He has been in multiple razor close split decision fights.
Okay.
All right. He trains primarily in Thailand.
Okay.
Let me see.
Splits time. Okay.
Thailand. Let me just see.
Splits Thailand bantamweight. Current UFC fighter.
He made his UFC debut in 2018.
Oh, okay. Relatively newer. Okay.
What do we have? Is that 4?
That's 5.
That's 5. All right. Do you have a guess? You can make guesses throughout. We'll see.
It's not a final guess thing.
No, we'll give you 3 guesses.
3 guesses. Trains primarily out of Thailand. So give me one more.
One more. He is arguably one of the most technical strikers in that division.
Ooh. Are you one of more technical strikers in the division? Bunch of split decisions. Thailand. Okay, no, never mind then. Thailand. I'm going through the rankings right now. I mean, well, it's Jan.
Yeah, you're right.
I had Jan in my brain the whole time, but I was waiting. I was like, I don't want to be an idiot and say Jan out loud immediately.
Yeah.
And think like there's definitely a deep rooted guy, but I was like, Ben, yeah, it has to be Jan. And then I got it. It's my guy. It's my guy.
Yeah, I know. That's why I picked him. That's why I picked him. I love doing that game. I did it with when I was in Vegas. I did it with Mateus Camilo, and I it's so funny because I did it with him, and then Chris Curtis like hopped in because he just snuck under to grab his shoes. Yeah. But they could not guess Alex Pereira for the life of them. Like they could not.
It gets in your head. They think you're gonna do something niche.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because they didn't get it until I mentioned he came from Glory Kickboxing. Yeah. And then all the comments were like, dude, they knocked out his teammate. How do they not know who that is?
Exactly. The moment you said Thailand, I'm like, I mean, he's not gonna do Jan. There's no way he's gonna do Jan.
Yeah. You gotta throw him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But no, dude, I do appreciate you taking the time to come up here and like again just educate people on like who you are and like tell your story and how you got into MMA. And then we broke it down into some fights and stuff like that. And I think this is, good for your fans and good for the people who don't know who you outside of just the talking head.
Yeah. No, I think it was fun, bro. I love it. I love doing this kind of stuff, no matter what it is. Anything MMA related, we're talking about like what I'm doing with you. I love it. I'll do it all day, every day. I appreciate it. And this is a sick thing. Like I saw your interview with Mateus Camilo on your YouTube video. Like I checked out a couple of your stuff when you asked me to do this. So yeah, I can't wait to see this one. Yeah,
man. I appreciate it. And you have a live coming up in a few hours, but right before that, Charles or Max, go.
I have the predictions video out. It's Charles.
Charles. Yeah,
it's tough. I was on Max for a while, and then at some point, I think that you're gonna have Charles in the forward foot the majority of the fight. Max does play back. He's gonna be jabbing his head off. He's gonna be landing a lot more. But Max is also horrible defensively.
Yeah,
he's gonna get hit. Is much better defensively now in terms of his spacing and distance management. But he gets hit. There's gonna be pressure. If Max drops Charles, is he gonna jump into the guard? That's one thing I was considering as well.
Yeah.
I think Oliveira can get an entry on him as he's pressuring, push him back to the cage, get a clinch, something like that. I think it's possible. I think it's hard for me to not see a grappling scenario between the two. And if Charles doesn't grapple whatsoever, we're in for hell.
Yeah, I agree with you. I stand on this. Max Holloway has stayed the same fighter since their first fight. Mm-hmm. Charles Oliveira has been the only one to continuously progress his skills. He's gotten better on the feet. He's always been good on the ground. And this is how I see it playing out in my head every single time. I see them engaging, Max clipping him, Charles forcing a clinch, taking him down or being taken down, causing a scramble and submitting him the same way he submitted Gamrot.
If he's
finding the back through a scramble and grabbing the neck and just squeezing until he taps. It's how he got majority of his submissions. It's his bread and butter, and there has not been one person Arman didn't even stop the scramble. Yeah. Arman had an arguably close fight with him. I think Charles Oliveira is going to have a tough fight, but is inevitably going to get it done against Max Holloway. I think it's going to be a third-round submission.
If he's getting Arman in these clinches and he can get a guillotine on Arman, and Arman's not even shooting when the guillotine happened, Oliveira got it himself. I find it very hard for him to never get Max. Max has to be on the bike the entire fight. And his style changed a little bit. He's just understood distance management a lot better, and his timing's gotten a lot better at distance to where he looks a little bit better defensively. But he really still is a lot of the time he's going to be inside that pocket and scrapping. We saw it in the Poirier fight. He was getting hit a good amount in the Poirier fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man, again, I appreciate it. And if we do this again, it'll be good. We'll touch on everything else that we didn't do this time.
I'm always ready. Appreciate you, my man.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate you.
See ya.
See ya.